Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Good morning. Welcome to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM 312-255-8408. You can also get us on youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. Father Greg Sakowicz, the rector of the cathedral, and co-host Mark Teresi, executive director. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Good. First, let's thank Michael and Brian for great effort with us when we dedicated the statue last Saturday. You guys did a great job.
Yeah, Michael and Brian, outstanding work, and beautiful day and tremendous crowd. They dedicated the beautiful Mother Cabrini statue in our courtyard. Beautiful mass with Bishop Turley.
Yeah, invite people to come visit.
Well, yeah, come by the cathedral, and the courtyard is open during the day, and you can't miss the beautiful statue, very lifelike. I find the statue with her arm extending out. She's waving outward, but drawing us in.
Right.
So she kind of draws you into the beautiful statue. And what a beautiful weekend we had.
The weather could not have been better.
77 degrees yesterday, on Saturday, today about 75, and getting cooler tomorrow. But you had a special birthday party?
Yeah, our little grandson turned 2, and our son and his wife were all ready for heaters and, because it was going to be middle of October, cold, and they didn't need any of that. People were outside. It was beautiful. We had both families, which are pretty big, blended, and he loved when we sang Happy Birthday. He just loved it.
And he knew it was for him.
Oh, yeah, he knew. And he pointed to people. He clapped. He was the king of the show.
How quickly the time flies. And a week from today, Halloween, tomorrow, All Saints' Day, All Souls' Day.
Yeah.
Mark, we're a week away from November. It is it's
weather-wise, it doesn't feel like it. I'm sure it will catch up.
Well, this is Indian summer right now.
I remember our parents, who both deceased, God rest their souls, but they were married on November 3rd, 1950 or 51.
Your parents?
Yeah, and it was a blizzard.
In early November.
Yeah, so it would be like next week would be a blizzard.
In fact, if I'm not mistaken, the winter of 51, 52 was one of the hardest in the history of Chicago, according to my mother, a year before she got married.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible weather. So we should get our program going here again. 312-255-8408. Also get us on youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. Encore is a program that inspires the mind and spirit. Those who are 50 and over, that excludes us, Mark, are invited to come together with other adults at Old St. Pat's Church to share enthusiasm for life, learning, service, and fun. Our guests, Mary Kay Slawkowski and Bob Kolatorowicz, and Judy McLaughlin. So to Mary Kay, Bob, and Judy, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're sorry Bob couldn't be with us. He had something happened and he had to take care of it. So Bob was unable to join.
I knew Bob from the seminary at Niles College Seminary of Loyola. So Bob and I go back, Mark, 50 years?
So I think he's a year ahead of me, so a year behind you then, right?
Oh, exactly right. So I would have been a junior for me, sophomore for Bob,
and then
freshman for you. Yeah. And Bob was a great basketball player. So how are you doing, both Judy and Mary Kay, on this Monday morning?
We're glad that Bob belongs to us now.
Yeah, for how many years?
Bob's been there, over 30 years?
Yeah.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
And how about for you?
He's just wonderful.
And Mary Kay, you've been Old St. Pat's for how long, Mary Kay?
I've been at Old St. Pat's about 15 years. I followed Judy. Judy, they have 250 zip codes that come into Old St. Pat's. And we both live out in Darien. And Judy was the first one of the group to go down to Old St. Pat's. Judy, how did your husband walk by the place and saw?
Yes, he was walking one Sunday and went in and he heard Father Cusack, and he came home and he said, "You got to come with me." Well, at the time I was playing the organ at the local church. I went down one Sunday and came back and quit. And so we've been going down there now over 25 years.
No, both Judy and Mary Kay, you both live in Darien?
Right.
Correct.
How far of a ride from Darien to Old St. Pat's?
Maybe 25 miles.
That's amazing.
It's a half an hour or 40-minute ride.
You just reminded me, I was there for 8 years when Jack first became pastor.
Yes.
I did the music, and our sons were both baptized there. Matthew's 36 and Marty's 34.
Amazing.
That's how long ago.
Well, then is that near Batavia?
No, it's near Downers Grove.
Oh, Downers Grove.
Yeah, it's right off I-55.
Oh, sure, but it's still a heck of a drive. Well, tell us.
It's where the National Shrine for the Little Flower.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Okay, in that area, all right, in Darien. Well, that's
Right.
that would be the Diocese of Joliet,
Yes.
in that area there. Well, give us the history of Encore. When did it begin, and who started it?
Okay, I'll start with that, and then I'm going to turn it over to Judy for a lot of details. But Encore was started, I would say, about 15 years ago. And it was, the idea was they were looking for something for 50 and older group down at Old St. Pat's. They had a great youth group, young adults, but they didn't have something for the older group. So they started it. And then 3 years after they started it, Bob Kolatorowicz asked me to take it over and be in charge of it. So that's when I came on board. I think that was over 12 years now. And then Judy McLaughlin, my good friend from Darien, was the first person I asked to come with me on the committee, and her and her husband joined that committee that day. Encore, it does a lot of wonderful things, and Judy will explain the details, but we help, we now have a list of 1,700 people
Wow.
that we have helped and that are on our list. And the reason that came about was because of the pandemic. We started to run programs every week called Evening with Encore. We had a speaker, it was all on Zoom, and we got such a following. We're still doing those, but now they're once a month, but we did them every week during that pandemic. That was over 2 years, programs say you would have a priest on and he would give a presentation. You'd have the history of Chicago, different items that would come on, and that's how we grew our mailing list.
So when you had this weekly gathering on Zoom, how many people were watching or present on Zoom on the average?
Sometimes 150.
That's tremendous.
A lot of times 150. That's how we grew. People found out about us because the over 50 group was very lonely. You can imagine what that was like. I mean, when we went into the pandemic, I remember my youngest son, was having a birthday party for my grandchild, Vivian. And he called me and he said, "Mom, we do not expect you and Dad to be there."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, this was March 2020. And I said, what are you talking about? I'm right here. He lives in Downers Grove. I'll be the first one there. I got the gift. He said, "No, I think bringing you into a crowd right now is not the way to go." So he became the czar of COVID for us.
Wow.
He took over our lives. They did all the shopping, everything. But I then said to myself, I don't think I can manage this kind of thing, because remember I told you I had those panic attacks years ago, and I said, this is gonna cause me a lot of anxiety if I can't do something.
And get out.
I came up with the idea of Evening with Encore. Let's do something every week so that we can help people like myself on Zoom come
Stay
together.
connected.
That's how it's done.
Now, Judy, what are some of the specifics in terms of program? How do people get connected?
Well, everything, of course, goes into the bulletin. And I will say, Encore embraces the radical inclusivity of our parish, of all the practices and what have you. And even though it's for over 50, people are always welcome, regardless of their age. And children, really, it's not really for children.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you're a person in your 40s or 90s or whatever you are, you're welcome. And for me, one of the great things about this whole Encore business, whether it be live or it be on Zoom, there are lots of people over the age of 50, and I have so many friends that are widows. And because our things take place on a Sunday when they're already there after church, they meet with people, they make new friends, they bring friends, they can sign up for service, they can do all different kinds of things, and they're not driving at night. And it's always a very nice experience. So our mission statement says that we have fellowship, spirituality, education, and service. So in terms of the these broad statements, you can fit a lot of things into those particular groups.
Mm-hmm.
So about 4 times a year, we sponsor a cafe that takes place on the grounds of the church, sometimes down in Hughes Hall. And since we have the new 625 building, sometimes over there. It involves a speaker and a brunch. And we overlap lots of times between education, spirituality, and fellowship. And we've had all kinds of interesting people that were willing to come. We've had Rick Kogan, Blair Kamen, Mary Schmeek,
some big names,
actors, political people, not necessarily stumping for a political position, but for whatever reason, talking about this, that, and the other thing. We've had Father Foley, Monsignor Velo, came and talked about Cardinal Bernardine, Father Cusack, Father Wall, Father Foley, many nuns. We've had Sister Simone Campbell. And we had a retreat with Edwina Gately.
Oh, sure.
That's
sometimes
phenomenal.
we just do it just for fun. We've had a jazz brunch over the last few years, right near Mardi Gras time. And the Vandercook School of Music, connected with IIT, which is a school to educate music teachers, they have a jazz group. And they would come and they'd play. And they were great, piano, bass, drums. People were dancing, and you'd come and you'd have brunch. And that would be one that was just for fun. Yesterday we had the Oktoberfest, and Eddie played a lot of polka music, and people were dancing. Have a bratwurst.
That is great. Let me ask you this
before
I flip it over to talking further. In fact, before we do, Mark, take us to break.
Okay, WNDZ 750 AM, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408, or you can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. We'll be back in a few minutes. Continue to talk about that wonderful program at Old St. Pat's, Encore, which inspires the mind and the spirit of those over 50. Others are welcome. Mary Kay and Judy will be back in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
We are hiring. Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Chicago is looking for mission-driven individuals who want to help make a positive difference in the lives of people in need throughout Cook and Lake counties. Be part of a diverse, talented team of professionals in the largest human services organization in the Midwest. We are dedicated to helping people chart a more stable, happier future for themselves, and we accompany anyone in need, regardless of faith, gender, race, or ethnicity. Competitive salaries and generous benefits add to the satisfaction you'll have every day knowing that you're helping us amplify our impact in Chicago. To see our list of employment opportunities, visit CatholicCharities.net.
There is no doubt this life is short. It is in you I trust to spread your truths, your goodness, and love. It It is you who will give a leader to our church. Who will fill these shoes?
Catholic Charities' Refugee Resettlement Program has been especially busy this year, assisting individuals and families who have fled dangerous situations in their homeland, including Afghanistan and the Ukraine. The Refugee Resettlement Team helps with everything they need to start to rebuild their lives in a new country, including housing, employment, clothing, food, English classes, and referrals for legal and immigration services. The refugees are tremendously grateful for the compassion and practical help they're receiving, and they're giving back and helping each other plan for a brighter, safer future. Volunteer opportunities are currently available for those who would like to be family mentors and tutors so children and adults can practice English. To learn more about these rewarding opportunities, call 312-655-7096. That's 312-655-7096.
We're back. WNDZ 750 AM, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408, or you can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. We're speaking with Mary Kay Slowakowski and Judy McLaughlin about the Encore program at Old St. Pat's. Bob Kolatorowicz could not be with us. I figured out why. Now, don't forget, Greg was a year ahead of him. I was a year behind. I think he owes Greg money.
Yeah, so he chose not
he didn't want
to
to show up.
today.
So tell him that when you see him, would you?
Please do. And also Judy and Mary Kay also be aware that many years ago, Mark sent his picture to the Lonely Hearts Club, and they sent it back and said, we're not that lonely.
Very funny. Father Greg has a question.
Question.
Brace yourself.
Yeah, how about this? For Mary Kay, how has Encore touched and changed your life?
Oh, I think one of the important ways is how we do service. Father Tom Hurley, of course, started kinship with North Lawndale 10 years ago. And many of us have been so involved with St. Agatha, Father Dowling, and we've had Encore brunches with each other. With their senior group and our senior group. We've gone into St. Agatha and brought our food, and they had their food, and we went to Mass there, and we've really grown a lot being with the kinship effort at North Lawndale. But right now, Encore is working with Hope House, and Hope House is a place where ex-convicts come after they're let out of prison, and they're able to stay at Hope House there in North Lawndale on Ogden Avenue, and they're helped, they're tutored, they're helped, looking for work. They've got jobs there. I guess Lou Malnati's Pizza has been terrific, hiring, and so many in that area. And Encore goes there at least 4 or 5 times a year, where we go for lunch. We bring lunch to the ex-convicts, and we sit. And the most important part, I guess, for me has been able to talk with them and to understand where they've come from. So many from the south side of Chicago, like I was born on the south side of Chicago. And being able to talk about drug problems, that seems to be the addiction, the number one problem that gets them put into prison in the first place. And then how so many of them are away from their families. Families don't come to see them anymore. And how this Hope House in North Lawndale has become their family, and how they are thriving there. So Encore has the privilege of our people bring in the lunch, and then we sit down and we spend about a couple of hours just talking with the men and
That
that's
is
how I grew up.
that's
A
amazing.
lot.
Now, Judy, the very same question: how has Encore touched your life?
Well, I'll tell you, I've met some of the most wonderful people that I've ever known in my life, and I've been lucky in knowing lots of lovely people. But they've come to me through the spirituality part of Encore. We have retreats over the last 12 years. We've always had a day of recollection. And most importantly, our women's spirituality group that has met, I don't know how many years, 8 years or something, out at the Darien Spiritual Center, because people don't want to drive down to Old St. Pat's at night. So we read a book, the one book for the whole season from September till May. And it could be the Book of Joy, Jesus, a Pilgrimage, Father Martin, Richard Rohr, Joan Chittister. This year we're using a book called An Altar in the World. And the women come together. There's a little bit of a reflection. Facilitator goes through the chapters or whatever and sparks a discussion. And it ends with people prayers that they are seeking, something for somebody's health or whatever. But through all of this and through working through Encore, I'm telling you, I have met some of the most wonderful people. That's meant a lot to me. And we have a lot of fun with it too. I mean, that's a draw for me, for sure.
Now, part of you're into this about 15 years, right?
Yes.
So why did you say yes initially? There was nothing there. You were creating.
You can't say no to Mary Kay. I mean, if she tells you,
There's the answer.
You want to do this, you better do it or else. And at the same time, when we first started this a long time ago, I was still teaching. I taught at St. Isaac's in Hinsdale for 17 years, whatever. So between teaching school, my own family, Encore, whatever, you didn't have 5 minutes of peace. But it's been worth every moment because of the people you've met.
Now, I have a quick question for Judy.
experiences.
Judy, Mary Kay, you have a great friendship and rapport. How did the both of you meet?
Go ahead, Judy.
I think we met at Our Lady of Mount Carmel.
At your
When we were
parish.
both parishioners there.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I was in the music ministry and different things came up. I don't know. Something seems like a good idea. I always sign up, whatever.
I was working with social justice at Our Lady of Mount Carmel with Father Gavin and the Carmelites out here. And my son was living in Presidential Towers across from Old St. Pat's. And he kept saying to me, you don't know what you're missing. You don't know what you're missing. The music and the preaching. And he said, you should just take a ride down here. And I was just like, Father said, I said, what? Oh my God, that's so far. Crazy. I'm not going downtown for Mass. And so one Sunday we did. And we never looked back after that. It's only on Sunday, 25 minutes on the expressway. And
Yeah, you do fly
there.
on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So Mary Kay, give us a little bit of how you persuaded Judy to get involved. What's your pitch?
Oh God! Well, Judy is I teach personalities, and Judy is definitely results oriented. She's a dominant, but she's also has a lot of caring about people. Very good with people. So all I said was, why don't you come up with an idea for this cafe? And why don't we start that where we have a brunch? I remember my father at St. Felicitas on the South Side. He was in charge of the Holy Name Society, and then he was in charge of the St. Vincent de Paul Society. And my father would put on these big breakfasts out there with Monsignor Walsh. And I just loved following my father because he was always so excited about parish work. And so I grew up with all that. So I just, all you have to do with Judy is say, start something. And I had no idea what the cafe would look like, but she came up with the whole formula. And that's how I look at people.
Now, Mary Kay, you said that you teach a course on personalities?
Yes, right. It's dominant influence, steady and conscientious personality.
What's Father Greg's personality?
Very introverted.
Father Greg, I would say very much influencer. likes to be around people. It can draw people out. Definitely, we see that here on the show. I would think that Mark, you're much more of a steady personality, easygoing, but also sensitive, and someone that can back up and get things done in your own way by the way you plan.
That's very good.
Thank you. We have to.
You're on target.
We have to send you more flowers to add to that. Those roses behind you.
That's spot on.
You're very.
Because Mark and I go back. We met in 1973. I was a junior in the college seminary. Bob was a sophomore, and Mark was an 18-year-old freshman. So Mark and I go back. We met last month, 49 years ago, and best of friends.
Wow.
And that is an accurate assessment. Whoa.
Yeah, what you just said there was very on target.
Now,
for
give
Mark
us a little
and for me.
assessment of your new pastor, Father Pat McGrath.
Oh, gosh, love him.
He's a great guy. He's a phenomenal
What do you
priest.
think? When somebody gets up there to give a homily and they start with a personal story, they're self-deprecating, they're funny, they just draw people right in.
Mm-hmm.
They absolutely draw them right in. And you know what? Good liturgy is good show business, and nobody can tell me any different. If you don't have beautiful music and a good homilist, give it up. I think it should require all the priests in the diocese to come to Mass some Sunday, then go home and do it in their own parish.
It's good. It's good drama. It has to be. The drama has to be there. Now, it's very interesting you mentioned that, because when I came to Old St. Pat's, Jack asked me to come and said, I want good music and I want good homilies. He said, that's the core of growing this parish. So you're saying 37 years later, that's still the tradition there.
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah.
In the last few minutes, unless maybe Mary Kay, what events do you have planned coming up for people to be a part of for Encore?
Okay, well, I think Judy, Judy, we have two things left for the end of the year. Judy, it's Evening with Encore. Go ahead.
I forget who's the Evening with Encore, because I'm not part of that, but we have the retreat, Day of Recollection, coming up on November 5th. 40-some people are coming to the Darien Spiritual Center, and they don't all live in the western suburbs. Mm-hmm. They come, some of them from the city, because we're right off I-55. Come, coffee, rolls, and our new associate person priest at St. Pat's, Father Michael Simone, is going to speak about the Bible.
That's wonderful. Now, how can people still sign up for Judy?
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a phone number or an email address?
And everything's in our 17-page bulletin. When you talked about the refugees, we got somebody that's doing that. You got people doing this, that, and the other thing. So read the bulletin and you'll see what goes on down there. It's kind of crazy what
that is terrific. Well, we need to bring a program to an end. I want to thank in a very special way Mary Kay Slawkowski and Judy McLaughlin. You've been a fantastic guest. You're both women of faith. Thank you for all you do. God has blessed all of us through you. I'll tell you something. Your enthusiasm jumps right through the screen.
It's contagious.
And for those listening on radio, it's very contagious. So thank you very much, Mary Kay and Judy. God bless you. Keep up the great ministry. And you both have a beautiful smile coming through the live stream here. So Father Greg Sakowitz and Mark Teresi, listening to Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408. Also got us on YouTube.com/Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM. Stay with us. We'll be back after these messages, and again, do not touch that dial.
Did you know that Catholic Charities accepts car donations? If you're ready to free up space in your garage and put a stop to all those expenses that go along with owning a car, we will gratefully accept your donation, whether the car is running or not. You choose a pickup time that is convenient for you, and we will make the donation as easy as possible, free of charge. You'll receive a charitable donation receipt as well. We accept all types of vehicles nationwide, and you will know that your donation is made to Catholic Charities, an agency you can trust. To learn more about donating your car, call 877-786-4483. That's 877-786-4483. Thank you.
This is year 44 for me teaching. When I started here, there were teachers here that had taught me when I was a student. Now I'm the old person. Right now, I teach junior high math. I love when kids find what I'm teaching to be fun and they get it. I see that light bulb go off and it's a thrill. People are always amazed. What? You're here for 44 years? It's hard for me to believe, frankly. I love what I do. Every summer I think, oh, I miss the classroom. Even on the weekends, I think I can't wait to get back on Monday and teach those quadratic equations.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at archchicago.org/schooljobs.
The Cemetery Ministry is a core ministry of our Catholic faith tied to the corporal works of mercy. It's comforting to know that our Catholic cemeteries are caring for the remains of our loved ones awaiting the resurrection. There are 44 Archdiocese of Chicago Catholic cemeteries willing to help you in your time of loss. Call 708-449-6100 or visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org. Catholic Cemeteries, serving the Catholic community since 1837.
You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
We're back, WNDZ, 750 AM, Catholic Chicago. Father Greg Sakowicz, Mark Teresi here, 312-255-8408, or you can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago.
Where'd you get the sweater vest?
Mundelein Seminary from
nice.
years ago.
It's very nice.
It was during one of our golf outings, and I
really?
wear it with pride. So
it's a great sweater vest. As much as I kid around, it's very nice.
Yeah, Mundelein. It's a great reminder of me of 15 years at Mundelein. I love the seminary.
What years were you there, Mark?
99 to
14?
Something like that. Yeah.
And then in 2014, you went where?
To the National Fund for Catholic Religious Vocations. It was funded by the Hilton Foundation, $2.5 million to create an entity that would support college debt for religious candidates to the religious life. So I was there. We built that board and fund, and I'm happy to say probably over 50 folks have been supported.
That way?
Yeah, 50 vocations.
We haven't talked about sports yet. You know, the Green Bay Packers lost yesterday.
I saw it by 1 point.
Was
it 1 point?
23-21. They lost by 2, but I'm heartbroken.
You're not.
I'm so happy. 3-game losing streak, and the Bears play tonight at New England.
Yeah,
I don't give them much of a chance.
Father Greg on the way over was singing this song from Scrooge. Thank you very much. It's the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me.
With the Packers,
here we go.
It's been a long time since the Packers have lost 3 in a row, which is wonderful. It's a great sound. To share that on radio with all our Bear fans. But the Bears will have their hands full tonight. They got to get their offense going. And
who are they playing?
At the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick. And I can't believe that the Philadelphia Phillies came from the wild card.
3rd place.
Yeah, they're actually the 6th seed, best record in terms of very mediocre, 87 wins, now going to the World Series. It's funny, when it comes to World Series or playoffs, sometimes it's not the best team that does it, it's the hottest team.
Exactly, at that moment.
But again, Houston swept the Yankees 4 in a row. They're 7-0 in playoffs. They are a great team. So it'll be Houston and Philadelphia. So enough of sports. And take us to Dr. Mary Amore.
So here we are, formerly known as St. Francis Retreat House in Oak Brook, Illinois. Mayslake Ministries is a lay-led 501c3 Catholic Christian not-for-profit spirituality center founded by Father Jonathan Foster, OFM, 1991, as a retreat house without walls. Since 91, Mayslake Ministries has served the spiritual needs of Catholic Christian adult women and men from all walks of life, providing multiple spiritual opportunities for people who seek a deeper relationship with Jesus Christ. Mayslake Ministries are proud partners in faith with the Archdiocese of Chicago, the Diocese of Joliet, Diocese of Rockford, dioceses around the world. I added that in. Joining us today to talk about what's new at Mayslake Ministries, one of our favorite guests, Dr. Mary Amore. Welcome, Mary.
Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Mark. Hi, Father. How are you?
Good. How are you today?
Okay.
Your beautiful smile.
Monday morning. So.
I'll tell you, your enthusiasm is always so contagious. You're always so fired up. Do you drink coffee in the morning?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so
and
do
in
I.
the afternoon.
Yeah, so
and at night. Okay, right.
That's a good one. So what's the very latest happening with Mayslake Ministries, Mary? What's going on?
Well, we've
got so many things going on.
We've got an exciting fall lined up. We have on Saturday, November 5th, we're bringing in, once again, Father Ronald Rollheiser. It's going to be an online virtual conference because because of COVID, we expanded our ministry way beyond Chicago. And so people throughout the United States have wanted to come to this. And so it was just easier for us to just make it virtual. So it's Saturday, November 5th.
What time?
From 9 to noon. And Father Rollheiser is going to be talking about the Eucharist. The title is Our One Great Act of Fidelity, Waiting for Christ in the Eucharist.
Saturday,
I'm really
November
looking forward
5th,
to hearing
9
him.
until noon. How do people register to be part of that, Mary?
They can go right online to our website, MayslakeMinistries.org. And the registration's right on the homepage. Just click on, fill out the information. It's $35 a person. Here's the thing. The nice thing about an online conference, say you register and then, life happens and you can't make it that day. As long as you've registered, we will be recording the conference and then we can send you the link afterwards and you can watch it, when you have time.
That's MayslakeMinistries.org. What about a phone number?
Our phone number is 630-852-9000.
That number once again.
630-852-9000.
And what's interesting for folks, the upside is you can stay in your pajamas, have a cup of coffee, no gas expense to come.
Exactly.
So a lot of positives, and
Father Ronald Rollheiser is phenomenal. He's a great writer, great spiritual director. In fact, where does he live, Mary?
I believe he still lives in San Antonio. He's from Canada.
Okay.
But he recently retired from the Oblate School of Theology in San Antonio. But I believe he still resides there, and he might not totally be retired. Nobody ever retires in ministry. I think he does a couple of courses, but he doesn't head the school anymore. So,
and this focus is on Eucharist. But so I'm thinking November, December, holidays, people having difficulty with holidays. How will your ministry be able to support folks if they're in that depressive mode that holidays sometimes bring up for people?
Oh, Mark, absolutely. Holidays stir the pot of grief every year for everybody, but especially if the loss is recent. We have multiple people on staff, skilled spiritual directors and pastoral staff, pastoral counselors, who are here to help people with their grief. And so please, I urge you, if you're feeling sad or, you're just not, you're missing your loved one, as we all do, but you know that there's, a situation here. Please call our number, 630-852-9000. Talk to me, and we'll get you set up with someone who can help you. And again,
I have found, Mary and Marco too, the month of November and December by far, beside the weather getting colder, November known to be very cloudy, that people get very depressed. Because what makes it worse is, as we move toward Christmas, people say, 'tis the season to be jolly. Well, they're not jolly and happy. In fact, now they're guilty because they're not happy.
Mm-hmm.
They're losing they're grieving the loss of a loved one, a mother, a father, a spouse, a child, and all around speaks of happiness and joy. It'll make me even more depressed. And the worst thing you can do is keep it to yourself. There's a great line that goes like this: things we take in quietly come out in noisy ways.
Oh, yeah.
Things we take in quietly come out in noisy ways. Someone who starts gaining weight, losing weight, fits of anger, drinking more. Things we take in quietly come out in noisy ways, and so be able to get help. And I know at Mayslake you've got tremendous spiritual directees or directors, grief counselors, and the worst thing you can do is sit home and say, I'll fight through this myself. Talk to someone.
And now,
talk to someone.
And now's the time. I mean, I would think if folks experience that over the holidays, why wait till the Wednesday before Thanksgiving or Christmas Eve
call
to be
now.
Looking? Yeah, call now.
Call now.
And get some help now as you approach the holiday. Maybe some tools that a spiritual director or a counselor can give you from Mayslake.
Right. We definitely can help people on their walk with grief. The most important thing is realizing that you are experiencing it. You have to name it, or you can't try and heal it. And then we're, and help. Christ is with us. And so there's wonderful tools out there, and we can help people. So please call us.
Now, Mary, talk so much about spiritual direction. First of all, what is spiritual direction, and why would someone sign up for this?
Great question, Father. Spiritual direction, as we've always said, it's a misnomer about using the word direction, because when people meet in spiritual direction, the director is just there to listen. They're to listen to your story and to help you discover the movement of God in your life right now, whether you're really having a wonderful, grace-filled life and you want to deepen your life with Christ, or you're going through some hard times, you're having some disbelief or whatever. The spiritual director listens to your story and helps you discover God at work right now in whatever you're going through. And when you can make that discovery, that is such a healing moment, because then you realize, geez, I'm not alone. No matter what I'm going through, Jesus is with me. And so then we begin to gain the confidence and the knowledge that we can get through whatever comes to us because we're not alone. Spiritual direction is just the best gift anyone can give themselves, truly.
Good point.
And that's probably saying be good to yourself.
Exactly.
Now, we're going to take a little break. We'll be back. WNDZ, 750 AM, Catholic Chicago. Father Greg Sackowitz, Mark Teresi here, 312-255-8408. You can go to youtube.com. We're going to be back with Dr. Mary Amore, Mayslake Ministries. When we get back, I'd like to talk a little bit about the process that people would go through in terms of not only seeking a spiritual director, but then some continuity with a spiritual director. It's not like I'll go to a spiritual director one day and boom, everything's wonderful. It takes time. Well, we'll talk about that when we get back. Please stay tuned. WNDZ, Catholic Chicago.
At Catholic Charities, we want to remind you that we are here for anyone who is a victim of domestic violence
or anyone who has a concern about someone they think may be a victim. Domestic violence affects millions of people each year, both women and men, of every race, religion, culture, and economic status. It includes physical, psychological, and emotional abuse, inflicted in both subtle and overt ways. The impact on children can be devastating. If you or someone you know are victims of domestic violence and you are looking for a place for healing and recovery, call us at 773-935-3434 in Cook County and 224-430-4977 in Lake County. A safer, happier tomorrow can begin today.
Welcome back.
Es fabuloso verlos.
Dobrze jest znowu być razem.
It's good to be together again.
After so many months apart, pandemic capacity limits have been lifted, and we want to welcome everyone back to church. We can all pray together again. And listen as our choirs lift their voices in song.
We've been together in spirit.
And now, when you are ready, our doors are open wide.
Nuestras puertas están abiertas de par en par.
Nasze drzwi są otwarte.
And we're here to welcome you back to Catholic Mass.
Ancestry and genealogy are more important every day. People all over the world are wanting to learn more about their family heritage for personal and for health reasons. At Catholic Charities, we are hearing from adults who lived for a brief time at St. Vincent's Orphanage, the wonderful life-affirming agency that operated out of our headquarters for 91 years, serving thousands of women, children, and families until it closed in 1972. Our post-adoption services help adults who want to learn more about their experience at St. Vincent's. Our compassionate staff members provide whatever family background information they can offer, along with support and reunion services. To learn more, call 312-655-7093. That's 312-655-7093. The spirit of St. Vincent's lives on in the inspiring stories that continue to emerge today.
We're back. WNDZ, 750 AM, Catholic Chicago. Father Greg Sackwitz, Mark Teresi here with Dr. Mary Amore. 312-255-8408. Or, once again, you can go to youtube.com/Catholic.
I like that
Chicago.
picture they showed just now of Brian Hockey and Brock on the YouTube.
Which,
Brian, I didn't realize those shorts were coming back. Nice. Did you lose a bet?
I think Greg fit into that shirt in grammar school.
Kindergarten.
Kindergarten. Mary, here's a serious question.
We're always serious, Mark.
Yeah, so I'm, at that stage where something's up. I know I need to talk about this. What's the process to decide it's time to go to a spiritual director?
Mark, that's an excellent question. It's personal. I think some people are much more willing to seek solving for their problem. Other people, it takes them a long time. But once you decide, when people call in and I go, well, just tell me a little bit about yourself and why you're seeking spiritual direction now. The answers are vast and varied. But overall, it's that people, they feel disconnected from God through no fault of their own, just through life, through situations. But they realize, because we all have that God spark in us, that God is calling them to come into a deeper relationship with them. So spiritual direction is just that wonderful process. And what happens is, so when people meet with their spiritual director first, again, some people are very willing to share their story, what's going on. Others, they go slow, a little here, a little there. The director will never rush a person. The director is there to listen, just to listen, and then to pray with them. And maybe, as the relationship of trust begins, because whatever is said in a spiritual direction session is held in the strictest confidence. So that's just between the director and the directee. So, they make a second appointment and maybe some more information is shared amongst them. And then, again, they pray together, and then perhaps the spiritual director might offer different ways for the person to pray in between sessions based on what they've heard and experienced through these sessions. So each individual spiritual direction session between people is truly personal.
Now, here's a beautiful line that is, no matter how many steps we take away from God, it only takes one step to get back to God. No matter how many steps we take away from God, it only takes one step to get back to God. And I also tell those people when I deal with individuals, you can never separate your faith life from life. What do I mean? When things are going well, the job is doing well, the marriage is going well, doing okay, faith life tends to be strong or steady. When tragedy hits us, the loss of a loved one, the house burns down, some terrible tragedy, all of a sudden our faith can be so shaken that, like, God, where are you? But I always tell people, God does not move. We do. But here's another insight that was brought to me. When something tragic happens to us, we say, oh God, why me? My loved one died, lose a job, house burns down, hurricane hits. Oh God, why me? When was the last time something terrific happened to you and you said, oh God, why me? You say, well, thanks God, and we move on. But it's interesting, it's a two-way street, because life, we all know, Mary, Mark, life is hard. Life is difficult. Somehow God is winning through us all. And so getting back to a spiritual direction, Mary, is, for our listeners, what's the biggest myth that you always hear about spiritual direction? Like, I guess what I'm saying to you is, what is it not?
It is not counseling.
Okay, good.
It is not.
Say more about that.
And it is not just for priests and religious sisters.
Good points.
It
Great.
is not.
Thank
It
you.
is absolutely for anybody who calls themselves a Christian, any person of faith. And the misnomer is that you're going in there and you're being told what to do. They are directing you. No, it really is. They're accompanying you on your spiritual journey. And as we all know, everybody's journey is different, but God is with everyone. And so it's really just a wonderful process to help us deepen our relationship with the Lord. And as you said, Father Greg, it is the season of November right around the corner, the season of Thanksgiving. And, if the only prayer we ever offer is a prayer of gratitude, thank you, Lord, that we got up today. Thank you for this gift of a new day, because many people don't get any of what we just mentioned. So every moment is a gift.
I remember our daughter, Dulce, our youngest, is at Misericordia, and she entered Misericordia during COVID. And I remember at the front door, we couldn't go in, but I remember giving her a hug, and I said, don't forget, I know, Dad, an attitude of gratitude. But that's it. I mean, it's like
just the way she said it.
Yeah, okay, attitude of gratitude. but the other thing, I wonder if people think, oh, I'm going to a spiritual director. Now, more if it's a priest, but I have to go to confession right away. He's going to lead me to confession. That may happen, but that, again, wouldn't that be, Mary, my own decision? It's not like...
Yes, Mark, absolutely. The Spirit will lead you, hopefully, to confession. When you become aware of, what I like to say to people is that just think of the person you love the most in life? And will you get up every day and intentionally hurt them? No, of course not. But we do, because we're human. And so if Jesus is the person we love the most in life, our whole behavior is going to change. And now we will become aware of when we hurt him and how we hurt him. And we will want to go confess our sins. No one's going to tell us to do that. It will come from within us because of love, not because of guilt or shame or anything else, because we love the Lord and we want to be in right relationship with him.
That's a good insight.
Very good. You know, our vision at Holy Name is a world in communion with Jesus Christ. So not a parish, not a neighborhood, a world in communion with Jesus Christ. And that leads to...
It's interesting. You take that word communion, the back half of the word union. So we have communion, which means union with God, with each other. And so it's not just about me and you, Lord. That's part of it. But it's been union with everybody else. So I always tell people, we're all in this together. If you think you're the only one who's hurting, think again. Only one who is suffering, think again. Because we are all in this together, and so we need to care for each other, support for each other, because we can't do it alone.
Well, now, Mary, how do you handle? I mean, you pick up the phone. There's usually probably someone on the other end that's going to need help in some way. How do you handle that on a day-to-day basis?
You know, Mark, the first thing I do whenever I answer the phone is as I'm answering the phone, I pray to the Holy Spirit, because me, Mary Amore, could really screw things up. But if I really believe that the Holy Spirit is working in and through me, and that I'm just a vessel, that I can hear what somebody says, and that I can respond, connecting them to the right person or referring them to the right counselor. And it's, you know, we've said this before, it's like the divine connector. You know, God helps me connect this person to one of the 45 people we have here to help them. So it really is, I process it through prayer. So
you have priests, brothers, sisters, lay people as spiritual directors, so all of them.
Yeah, here's a great story. I remember that you triggered something, Mary, and that is, I remember once when I was about 5 or 6 years old, I was always getting in my mother's way by her feet. I'd like to be clear near my mother in the kitchen. She's trying to do dishes, get dinner ready, and by her feet. My mom would sometimes say, you know, you're in my way. I remember once I was 5 or 6, and just being, the summer day I was bored, nothing to do, and I'm whining and all that. And my mother said, Greg, quit getting in your own way. I thought, what? I'm always getting in your way. But it stuck with me all these years later. And the thought that struck me is that sometimes we get in our own way. We get in our own way. So to leave room for God, and spiritual direction offers that. Now we need to bring the program to a close, Mary. Give us one more time the website and a phone number to contact you or Mayslake Ministries.
Sure. Our website is MayslakeMinistries.org.
Okay.
And our phone is 630-852-9000.
And number one more time.
630-852-9000.
And November 5th with Father Ronald Rollheiser, same place to sign up for it for the retreat. I want to thank you, Dr. Mary Moore. You have always been a phenomenal guest. So much to say. The Lord speaks through you, so God bless you and your ministry. Keep it up. Special thanks to co-host Mark Teresi, our producer-directors, Brian Hockey Hitman Brock, Michael May, to the whole team. Thank you very much to all. God bless. And may the Chicago Bears at least show up tonight against New England Patriots. Go Bears.
Join us every Monday through Friday at this time for Catholic Chicago. You can stream our programs live or listen to past programs by visiting our website, archchicago.org, and clicking on Radio TV. And please connect with Catholic Chicago on social media.